Coming up, a flight of American P-47s pound German ground targets in the summer of 1944. But German 109s meet the Americans in the air to engage. Will the American fighters make it back? Let's find out. Enjoy. Before we get started, I want to thank Tobii Eye Tracking for sponsoring this video. Tobii makes eye and head trackers that work with many flight simulators and other awesome games that give you a much more realistic and in-depth experience. I used my Tobii Eye Tracker 5 here in DCS and it was fantastic. To learn more about Tobii and what games their products work with, check out the link in the description and use code TJ3 Gaming for a discount on all of their stuff. Without further ado, it is late in the summer of 1944, the Allies have taken to the beaches at Normandy and are pushing back against Germans all across France. A flight of American P-47s are loaded with rockets and bombs as they are assigned to hit German targets and supply routes. The weather is beautiful as they take off and head on the assigned route, and pretty soon they have gained altitude and are in the air over the target area. They dive through the clouds and come out at about 1,000 feet of altitude. German artillery positions are on the left, right where reconnaissance said they should be. The lead Thunderbolt turns and lines up a bombing run. He releases his 500-pounder and scores a direct hit on one of the batteries. A stroke of good fortune for the Americans occurs next, as a German supply train is running right through the area at the moment as well. He turns and heads for the locomotive, a perfect target for his 6 rockets. He releases the first 4 at the train and hits it hard. He sees explosion and the confirmed destruction of at least 3 of the train cars in the back. The front portion of the German train continues down the tracks, but the P-47 has 2 remaining rockets and he will do his best to make them count. He lines up another shot on the target through heavy anti-aircraft fire and yet again scores a solid hit on the locomotive. He then pulls off and releases his rocket pods. He gains altitude once again and heads into the safety of the clouds after an extremely successful ground attack mission. But just a couple of minutes later, some black specks appear on the horizon coming through the clouds, and that can only mean one thing: Messerschmitts. And that is exactly what it is: German Bf-109 fighters patrolling the area. He prepares to engage the Germans along with his other wingmen. While the P-47 is a fantastic ground attack plane, it is not as nimble and as quick as the German 109, so he will have to be very careful to not give them a chance to come up behind him. He pulls behind the first 109 he sees, and fortunately the 109 turns away, giving him a great shot at the 6 o'clock position. So he quickly opens up with his machine guns, landing a few hits but nothing fatal. After he lets his first burst go, a friendly wingman, another P-47, comes up behind trying to assist in the kill, opening up as well on the German target. The Messerschmitt responds by diving and turning sharply to the left, trying to escape the oncoming Americans. But fortunately, the American Thunderbolts are excellent divers. They stay closely behind the German plane and come up on its 6 o'clock once again with increased speed. The Americans open up once again as a dogfight ensues in the background, and this time land additional hits, causing white smoke to come from the German fighter plane. After unloading a few more bursts into the German, he ends up rolling over and fading down towards the ground. The smart American pilot chooses not to follow him down, as he estimates this is a probable kill, and following him to the ground will only expose him to more German fighters. The plane is never seen hitting the ground, so it is unlikely to be a confirmed kill, but he will certainly take a probable. After pulling back up and trying to gain more altitude, the American P-47 spots another 109 in a good position for him to fire on. He heads towards him and prepares to engage once again. The P-47 opens up once again, landing more direct hits and causing a trail of white smoke to come from the German plane. But as he reaches the peak, he stalls, loses speed, and falls back towards the earth. A mistake of an inexperienced pilot, but he carries on. He does not realize that this has allowed another German fighter to get onto his 6 o'clock. So he tries to evade and shake the German fighter. He thinks that he has done this and carries on after another 109. A bullet flies through his cockpit just inches away from his head, but barely misses. Luck has been on his side this time. As he opens up, simultaneously the other 109 opens up at him. Once again, cannons and machine gun fire hit his plane and soar all around his cockpit. He rolls over and cuts his speed back, trying to get the German to overshoot. Looking around his bullet-ridden cockpit, he sees the 109 overshoot, fly past him, and realizes that his tail is finally clear. He decides that the odds are not in his favor and it is likely best to go ahead and head home. So he does so, turns away from the dogfight, and flies into the horizon. He leaves the Messerschmitts behind, as hopefully they are low on ammo just like he is. He heads back to base, sets his coordinates for home, and radios to his wingmen that he is pulling out of the engagement. A little while later, once things have calmed down, he realizes how lucky he was to escape that engagement. Luck was on his side, and fortunately he has learned a thing or two, and will use this for his dogfights to come. As the airfield comes into sight, he lines up his approach and prepares to land his slightly damaged P-47. The familiar sight of home relaxes him and makes him realize how lucky he is to be back. Coming over the treetops, he lets his landing gear down, slows his speed, and lets his flaps down. His wheels touch the earth for a smooth landing, and he has brought his P-47 home with one probable kill to his name. A successful ground attack mission and an air combat engagement that he will not soon forget. His P-47 comes to rest, and he will live to fight another day. I hope you enjoyed this historical recreation. Please make sure to click subscribe and comment if you have any suggestions for future videos. If you want to support my content, please check out the links in the description for my Patreon and for my merch store. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.